Today is a bit of my own personal story with alcohol and drugs, and also getting into why AA and NA don't work or don't usually work sustainably. I'll tell you a story of someone I know first, and it's, excuse me, almost over my cold, so bear with me. If you don't address why the alcohol or drugs are there, you can actually stop drinking or using drugs, but you'll still be in pain. You won't have the consequences. The consequences for alcohol and drugs and pills can show up often differently. Alcohol can have severe results. Smoking weed regularly has slow, painful results that add up over years. I remember back to this guy I know, and he went through the AA program, go to meetings regular. He had been at the time 20 years sober. He's on a family vacation. He has not been to a meeting in a week. He has not drank in 20 years. He has not done the emotional work. Again, no criticism, no judgment. That wasn't part of what he was working on. However, he got the result of not drinking for 2+ decades. He hadn't drank for a week on a family vacation, hadn't been to a meeting, and he's losing his mind. He's freaking out. He's extremely tempted. Hasn't drank in 20 years, or 20+ years. I think it was more like 25. It's been a little while. But is ready to go on the family vacation, rip open the liquor cabinet and just have a go at it. Need a meeting, I need a meeting, I need a meeting. Now, is it useful to have the support system in these meetings and things? Abso-freaking-lutely. However, whatever's causing him to drink, if it's pain from not being good enough, pain from sexual abuse, pain from one thing I didn't believe in that I absolutely believe in now, the inner 5-year-old who's been neglected, hasn't been seen, hasn't had fun, hasn't felt safe, hasn't been loved the way they wanted to be loved. That has not been addressed. So what would I call that person? Someone who's very unresolved. However, they do appear to have the result. They don't have the blackout drunk. They don't have the DUI. They don't have the yelling at family and friends. Sometimes they still do have the yelling at family and friends. They call it a dry drunk, meaning they're pissed off, sad, frustrated. So the emotional consequences are still there, but they're not getting blackout drunk and crashing their car or getting in a fight or seeing if their car can go 120 miles an hour in some place it shouldn't. So they are ultimately unresolved. In the past, I've been addicted to most things. At different times, it was alcohol, then it was weed. A lot of times it wasn't multiple things at the same time, so I kind of justified it as like, well, I was smoking for a while. Well, I stopped. Okay, I'm cool. Okay, 6 months later, I'm drinking. I'm kind of just drinking on the weekends. And now I'm drinking every day, but I don't drink during the day. I just drink at night, so it doesn't count. And then I can go to the sauna and do some biohacking thing. So I sweat it out, or I do this cleanse. At my worst, or one of my worst, well, let's back up. In the past, I've been addicted to alcohol, weed, Kratom. Kratom was really a bitch. Klonopin and Adderall. For me, quitting the Kratom and the Adderall was the hardest. I hear a lot of people, cigarettes as well. A lot of people have a really hard time with Klonopin. Don't know, wasn't nearly as hard. Adderall, I didn't have a program, I just went off of it. The next year sucked. Do I think there's a better way? I'm sure there's a lot of better ways. Now, what's interesting is I had periods where I worked a lot of plant medicine. Did that address my addiction stuff or that emotional thing? Not really. One of the things that healed for me was being molested as a kid. Helped a lot with that. Helped tremendously with that. However, I still had this kind of lingering pain. I went from the weed and Kratom. I stopped those at the end of 21 into 2022. Went through another year of pain. Had to rely on 5-HTP. Can be a useful supplement to bring up serotonin. But it was like, oh my God, I haven't taken my second dose of 5-HTP for the day. How am I, things are gonna be harder. So it's still relying on an amino acid versus alcohol or drugs, but still feeling like I needed something. I hadn't addressed the root cause. I went back during a relationship, hadn't really drank much, started dating. The girl I was dating at the time, my girlfriend at the time, drank moderately, not a lot, but I started drinking. Didn't think it was a big deal. During high points or low points, or a bit of both in the relationship, I would not socially, but drink alone. It got to a point where I was really bothered by it because it was foreign to me at that point. Meaning I hadn't been that guy in a couple of years, so it was inconsistent how I saw myself. It wasn't who I was, it wasn't my identity. And it really bothered me. And I didn't know what the issue was. I had a friend named Jamie here in Columbia, a female friend, who told me for years, have you ever done inner child work? Have you ever done inner child work? And I would push it away. I was super rude and arrogant in a way with this inner child work. I'm like, I don't have that, I'm not a chick. That kind of stuff. I was very wrong. During the time of that, before the breakup, a month or two, emotional turmoil, I drank a lot more. During the breakup, I drank a lot more. A lot more. Probably drank more in a month or two, let's say 2 months, than I did in the previous 2 years combined. And it was frustrating because I knew this is not me. I'm not that guy anymore. It seemed like a tough nut to crack until I met my inner child. I was on a trip, I was drinking, I had a couple martinis, I was in Brazil, I was coming back from an Italian restaurant that I went to 4, 5, 7 nights a week. It was a couple blocks from the place I was renting. I had an experience that will not make sense to most of you. Didn't make sense to me. I don't know that it still makes any sense to me. However, it was real and it felt right. I'm walking home and I just feel the presence of like a 5-year-old next to me. Sounds kind of woo-woo. If it sounds woo-woo to you, it did to me. It still does a little to me, but I was there, so I know. I recognized I had a hurt, scared 5-year-old inside of me. I had no idea. I was trying to pick up the pieces during a breakup earlier that year, maybe 6, 8 months earlier, to get back together. I need to get back together. It's true love. It's true love. It was a deep, deep, deep love like I've never experienced before. My excitement and my passion to get back with my girlfriend at the time was not excitement. I told myself it was. It kind of felt like it was. It was actually anxiety. What I would now call empowering anxiety, something to move towards. I can heal myself in a month. I'm ready. I love her. Now, we get into this confusing duality, and if we throw modern day spiritual lingo on top of it, well, it's a divine union or it's a trauma bond. What I have found, it can be both. You can have a love and a connection and a depth to your heart and soul that you've never felt with another human being before. Also, you can have a lot of pain and unresolved stuff inside of you that you just haven't handled, and you may have no idea. At this point, leading up to this, I had done, 85 ayahuasca ceremonies. I've been to all these different seminars with famous names. I won't bore you with all the names. Meditation retreats, other seminars, NLP. I've been a coach for a while. I did not know. And that can be the problem with coaching and therapy. They can be sometimes at two opposite extremes. Excuse me. Therapy can oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes only focus on this event that happened 7 years ago. When something happened and your dad and mom got in this fight, it changed the way you saw life. And it's reliving this painful, when you were 7-year-old event. So you can have someone, and I've had clients like this. I used to not believe in this. I heard it in coach training, and And then I started to see it with clients, and I was like, oh, this is real. Where it's like, yeah, I went to this therapist for 2 years, and all we talked about was basically what happened when I was 7. And they have 3 sessions with me, and they're like, oh, we're going into the present and future. This is so much different. Now, it can be super past with the therapy stuff. With the coaching stuff on the extreme end, again, it's not all like this. It can be create this compelling future, this vision. What are you moving towards? What are you excited about? And it can kind of, it doesn't really ignore the present. It takes that into consideration oftentimes, but it can ignore the past. Not that you want to live in the past, but if you had a bullet inside of you that was removable, let's say, right? It wasn't some weird freak accident. If it was causing you damage, and for some reason you didn't take it out, if you're having 20 years of damage, it would be good to take out that bullet, right? So there's a balance. The present moment is all you have. You've heard that, you know that. Past equals depression, too much future equals anxiety, but there is a balance or somewhat of an imbalanced balance. Meaning you're in the present, we're going to the future, but you got to give some attention, some energy to the past. So what if, no matter what you've tried, your issues with the porn, the weed, the alcohol, whatever substance, the pills that you have a prescription for or you don't, that's a common one, is guys get off the alcohol or they get off the weed or they get off the illegal pills. They don't take Oxycontin, but now they take, for me it was Adderall and Klonopin. So there's still this underlying, can I really do this on my own? Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a medical doctor. I would never tell you to stop or start medication, that's not my role. But when we've relied on these things, there can be this sense of, I don't necessarily trust or fully respect myself or know what's going on, which as a result, love does not flow. It can a little bit, but it doesn't really flow the same way when we feel there's a breakdown in our commitments to ourselves and we don't trust or respect ourselves. And it doesn't just come from drugs and alcohol. So what's the solution? It takes some time to sit in the discomfort and see what's really going on with you. That can come from plant medicine. Ibogaine is something that's wildly effective for addiction. I haven't done it. I plan to do Iboga next year, maybe Ibogaine. I don't have any addictions to resolve, but I'm just a curious guy and I've been called to it. Ayahuasca, it can heal a lot of stuff. It's not known specifically for like its main silver bullet is for hitting the target of addiction. Therapy, coaching, seminars. What I have found, it's addressing inner child work and addressing this hurt little boy that's inside. It's not weak, it's not gay, it doesn't make you a pussy. I'm using this language very intentionally. It's the judgments we've heard growing up. Boys don't cry, or in the locker room, you shouldn't have those feelings, blah, 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 blah. Many of us, if not all of us, have been there. This part of us feels scared, unsafe, oftentimes rejected or abandoned in our childhood, wanting to be seen, wanting to be loved. This part is like giving your financial future to a 5-year-old. You go, here, I have $10 million to invest. You wouldn't give it to a kindergartner. Nor would we let a kindergartner drive our car, even if it's an old car. It's just not safe. We're not gonna get there effectively. So if you wonder why some of these things, AA, NA, aren't sustainable, it hasn't addressed the emotional root cause. Once that's healed, it's wild how something that used to be an addiction just seems to wash away. Where when people have resolved themselves, and there's many different modalities, they can go out and have a couple drinks. Do I still drink? Yeah, I drink wine maybe once a month. But I don't have a compulsion out of pain to drink to settle my nerves. And it's really your individual path. Is your path to never touch alcohol again? Great, I would do that. Or to never smoke weed. I've smoked weed twice in the last year. I don't really like weed. I took an edible once in the last year. In the next year, there's a good chance I'll do 0. I just don't really care. It doesn't really do it for me. I was on vacation, did it. It was fun one time. Week later on vacation, not fun, ate too much, I don't even remember. It all comes down to resolving the pain inside, which very, very often, especially if you're watching this, seeing this channel about relationship stuff and pain and things that guys go through with dating, relationships, sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, it shows up in the deepest part of us, which is our little 5-year-old, our inner child. Thanks for tuning in, homies. See you soon.